Good morning. Welcome to Digitizing Spaces, People and Things. I see some familiar faces in the crowd, but for those of you who don't know me, my name is Matt Ham, the newly rebranded Solutions Engineer at Cisco. I've been with Cisco for just under 4 years now, serving as a pre-sales engineer. So my job requires me to know the entire Cisco portfolio, from top to as close to the bottom as I can get. I serve North Dakota and a tiny slice of Minnesota. What I want to talk to you today about is a product that was kind of re-energized during the pandemic and has picked up steam, especially in the tri-state area, that being Cisco Spaces. So as we all know, in the pandemic, contact tracing was a big thing, and customers, whether it be public sector or private sector, were tasked and required to implement some sort of contact tracing, right? So they were forced with the decision: do we go out and buy a really expensive, solely built, solely purposed contact tracing solution, or can we leverage the infrastructure we have in place? A lot of customers did find value out of Cisco Spaces. Coming out of the pandemic, Spaces has evolved and kind of migrated across several lines of businesses, right? Where now we're focusing not only on kind of like the location of people and things, but also enabling smart building, sustainability projects, and things like that. So before we get started, I want to take a moment to recognize our veterans, if we have any in the crowd here, and draw attention to the significance of Veterans Day. This occasion serves as a heartfelt celebration where we come together to honor and pay tribute to America's veterans. It's a time to recognize our deepest gratitude for their unwavering patriotism and profound love of country. So, not being a veteran myself, I do really appreciate the men and women in uniform whose names I don't know and who don't know my names, who day in and day out are across the globe, serving and sacrificing, upholding the values and ideals that we hold dear as a nation. So when I typically present to customers, I prefer a dialogue, right? So to break the ice, I kind of have a trivia question here, and Kayla has some Cisco swag for the first person who answers correctly. Before it was known as Veterans Day, what name did the holiday have? Back corner, Armistice Day. All right, so before we jump into the slides, like I said, if you have questions, just go ahead and raise your hand. We can pause and answer them. Otherwise, I do believe there's time for a Q&A at the end. Okay, so what exactly is Cisco Spaces? I kind of touched on it in the first slide here. The Cisco Spaces is an innovative and cutting-edge cloud-hosted platform that seamlessly integrates and digitizes the 3D space created by wireless access points, Bluetooth beacons, and other Internet of Things services. So that's kind of a mouthful, right? But when you think about it, the wireless access points in here are broadcasting this wireless signal, and it's filling this entire space. We all have phones and other devices that can act as sensors in that space that we can extract information out of. So Cisco Spaces is the conduit connecting not only people, but also the things in the space. By harnessing the power of digital data generated by the state-of-the-art Catalyst, Meraki, and WebEx platforms, Spaces has the transformative ability to convert your workplace into a truly intelligent, interconnected smart building, revolutionizing the way you operate and interact with your surroundings. So Spaces is built upon 4 key pillars. For those of you in the back, you probably can't see it at the bottom, but we'll go over it later too. 4 key pillars that underpin the remarkable functionality and purpose encompass the fundamental goals of making workspaces safe, smart, sustainable, and providing an unparalleled, seamless experience for users. For those of you taking notes, and as I just mentioned before, there will be a quiz at the end. So those 4 key pillars are kind of key throughout this presentation. Okay, so how does Cisco Spaces make your building smart? So within that vast 3D space created by the myriad of wireless protocols we've already mentioned, an abundance of data points and interactive possibilities exist. These data points include crucial factors such as location of devices and things, temperature, humidity, noise levels, air quality, occupancy, personas of those devices and individuals in our spaces, amongst other things. So Spaces ingeniously consolidates and aggregates this invaluable information, enabling you to take decisive actions based on this data. right? If the temperature in this area is too high and we have this Bluetooth beacon in that area where this device is not supposed to be, we can send an alert out. So what sets Spaces apart is its ability to not only empower the IT infrastructure team, but also extend its benefits across various lines of business, all of which have different needs and wants of the office space. So whether it's an inquiry about the whereabouts, identities, characteristics, or timelines of individual assets, Spaces has the comprehensive answers and details readily available. All right. So to understand the journey of Spaces thus far, we got to first go back to the beginning, right? So what was originally the client or the mobility services engine evolved into Client Mobility Express, and we should all be somewhat familiar with that if you're in the IT infrastructure space, right? We called it CMX. Everybody knows it and loves it. But those mainly focused on asset, device, location, and tracking. So subsequently, in 2018, Cisco acquired July Systems. That led to the rebranding of the product as Spaces and marked a significant shift towards the cloud. So since then, Spaces has rapidly expanded its reach and impact, scaling globally. So this data up here, a little bit old, but as of 2022, Spaces was monitoring 200,000 locations, over 7 billion square feet of office space, warehouse space. So deploying Spaces is a breeze. With the acquisition of July Systems and that move to the cloud, we can typically get devices and data flowing into Cisco Spaces in under 30 minutes. Furthermore, Spaces boasts an extensive partner app ecosystem and marketplace where approved physical IoT devices, such as temperature sensors or nurse page buttons, can be conveniently acquired, right? And that's due to the cloud nature of this product, right? So if you have Stanley for healthcare, or any other cloud-hosted application, it's a simple API call to get data from and into and out of Spaces into third-party applications. So here are these 4 key pillars again: safe, smart, sustainable, and seamless. The outcomes delivered by Spaces inherently align with those key pillars, often spanning not just one, but many of them. The platform is incredibly flexible and can be tailored to suit the unique needs and use cases of individual customers. So to illustrate this adaptability, I'm going to talk about a current project we have ongoing in the tri-state area with an education institute. We were contacted by this university in their quest to develop a smart campus. And we kind of said, hey, what does a smart campus mean to you guys? So from the students' perspective, they wanted Google Maps style wayfinding for students to get to classrooms and other student services, right? So if you're on this campus, how do I get to the student union from where I'm at? You pull up the app, click student union, and then you are provided the screen that looks just like Google Maps to get to your classroom. From a student's perspective, coming out of the pandemic and just having a health-conscious focus as one of their initiatives, they wanted to give students real-time access to vital information inside of buildings, such as air quality, temperature, noise levels, and occupancy. This would empower them to locate the most conducive spaces for meetings and study sessions. Additionally, the institution desires the ability to engage with students effectively, disseminating relevant event information and campus news. So all of our students on campus, how do we get out a push notification to the students? How do we know they're on campus or off campus, right? Furthermore, the institution aspires to enhance the management of assets and streamline the onboarding of students to the Wi-Fi network, facilitating a smooth transition from cellular connections. So we have a student off campus, right? They're connected to the 4G, 5G network. When they come onto campus, how do we ensure that they onboard onto our wireless network so we can kind of get some of this information from them? Did I lose my mic or no? No? Okay, we're good. Okay. So lastly, from a facility standpoint, the institution wishes to gain insights into student congregation areas, right? So where are students hanging out the most? Where are they hanging out the least? We have a set number, a limited number of remodeling budget dollars. Where can we most effectively spend that money in remodeling projects to give the students a better experience, whether that be classrooms or study halls or, party areas, what have you, right? So hopefully that provided a good example of kind of how Spaces is kind of branching across multiple lines of business at this university. We have the facilities team, we have like the student interaction engagement team, we have the IT infrastructure team, all kind of being able to leverage products coming out of Cisco Spaces. But it's also essential to acknowledge that not every customer will utilize all the apps and features offered by Spaces. So the solution provides various packages tailored to address specific use cases. Smart workspaces, for example, is tailored to carpeted spaces, offices, and educational institutions. On the other hand, IoT-intensive environments such as healthcare and facilities are more often better suited by the product suite in smart operations. And then lastly, venues encompasses a wide range of features that provide indispensable information for retail and entertainment sectors. So it also is worth noting too that if you are a current DNA wireless subscription holder, you have entitlements to some of the base features in Cisco Spaces. Okay. Do we have any questions so far? Take a quick pause. No questions means I'm doing either really bad or really good. So hopefully we can find somewhere in the middle here. Okay, so hopefully we have an understanding of the foundation and purpose of Spaces at this point. So now we need to delve into the mechanisms that drive its functionality. As previously mentioned, Cisco hardware forms the bedrock upon which Spaces operates. The access points, whether they be Catalyst or Meraki variants, provide invaluable data derived from the wireless signals while concurrently serving as Bluetooth and Zigbee gateways. Who's familiar with the Zigbee protocol? No? IoT intensive protocol there for low-powered sensors and things like that. So our access points actually have these Bluetooth and Zigbee antennas built into them natively so they can interact with these third-party non-Cisco IoT devices. So in addition to that, Meraki devices and cameras contribute a plethora of data, including temperature, door open close events, presence detection, air quality, water leaks, and occupancy, among other things. And if you come to our booth, we have some of these Meraki devices on our table for you to pick up and talk about and learn how they work. WebEx collaboration devices, of which we have another example on our booth there, supplement these capabilities, offering some similar features to the Meraki IoT sensors, but they also provide a means of interacting with the Spaces platform for visitors or users. So all of our WebEx, like Desk Pros and desks and the boards are touchscreens, right? And in a later demo, I'll kind of show you one way that Spaces can be an interactive experience for visitors on your guys' campuses or offices. Okay, so we've talked about all this data, right, that we can get from our wireless access points and third-party IoT sensors and stuff like that. But the mere extraction of this digitized data holds limited value if we cannot effectively visualize and comprehend this data, right? So we talked about all these data points that we can get, but what do they all mean? How do they apply to our use cases? How do we visualize this data inside of our workspaces and offices? So this is precisely where Spaces excels. It specializes in extracting and presenting the information in a visually appealing and easily comprehensible manner. So the digitized 3D maps, of which there's a little snippet of in the corner there, serve as a vital tool in this process, facilitating an immersive and interactive experience. So these maps are meticulously designed to be visually pleasing while simultaneously catering to the specific requirements of multiple lines of business, right? And we'll kind of go through an example of that right now. On the left-hand side here, we see a map, an infrastructure map generated by the Meraki dashboard, which provides valuable information to your IT infrastructure teams, showing precise locations of access points or these IoT sensors, as well as a color-coded health status, green, good, red, bad sort of thing, right? But from a facilities standpoint, the facilities team is not going to get any use out of this map, right? The facilities team is more concerned about how this space is being utilized. And then furthermore, from a visitor's perspective, right? So say you're, for example, here at Envision, right? Neither of those maps are particularly eye-pleasing or engaging, right? So with the AI ML engine inside of Cisco Spaces, and we heard a lot about AI this morning, we're able to take the facilities CAD files and through this AI ML engine, identify tables, chairs, offices, bathrooms, stairs, things of that nature, and output a map like you see on the right-hand side there. So it is important to realize that AI plays a huge role in the future of Cisco's product development. Various product lines have seen AI integration recently across, not just enterprise networking, but security as well too. So a couple examples being the AI-enhanced radio resource management in the wireless network, predictive hardware failure analysis, or proactive, not reactive, WAN failover for internet circuits. So once the infrastructure and then the maps are in place, the next crucial steps involves building that extensive IoT network we've talked about. This is achieved by incorporating sensors from not only the Spaces marketplace that align with your specific use cases, but any other third-party integration that you may come across. These sensors encompass a wide range of functionalities, including temperature monitoring, occupancy detection, air quality assessment, real-time location tracking, and then again, the Zigbee device integration. So the strategic placement of these sensors is needed, right? You should follow, when you're doing your wireless predictive survey, you should account for these services, devices, and locations to ensure you have proper coverage and accuracy of received data. Question?
The location deal, is it just from the access points, or does the sensors also detect?
There's a couple ways. So the question was, is location data only coming from the access points, or are there sensors for that? The answer is both. So like your cell phone, for example, it has your wireless radios in it, and it has your Bluetooth radios in it. You can use our access points as a Bluetooth beacon, right? And we can triangulate location from there as well, too. So you can do it by the wireless network or the Bluetooth network. So there's many ways to accomplish this, because not all devices are going to have those wireless radios in them. They might only have a Bluetooth tag. So from that Bluetooth tag, we can determine location. So I'm not going to stand up here and claim that Spaces on its own can solve every use case. So that's why we have a Firehose API that's going to allow seamless integration with third-party apps, right? So if you have a third-party app that can get data out, Spaces can get it in. If you have a third-party app that needs data out of Spaces, that API is going to enable that two-way communication between your applications. And this API enables you to use Spaces in many flexible ways outside of the native applications. So what does it look like to deploy? At the beginning, I said, it typically takes less than 30 minutes to deploy Cisco Spaces. So from a very high-level perspective, right, deploying the Spaces software follows a streamlined process consisting of really 5 steps. First and foremost, the activation of Spaces is crucial, and this enables the wireless infrastructure to seamlessly report to the cloud services. So if you have a Meraki network, it's a cloud-to-cloud API call. If you have on-premise Catalyst, there is a Cisco Spaces connector virtual machine that would live on-prem that your wireless controllers report to. Or if you use Catalyst Center, formerly known as DNA Center, that can act as your connector as well too. So subsequently, IoT sensors are carefully selected to align with the desired use cases, next purchased, and onboarded into the Spaces platform. Once the sensors are successfully onboarded and begin reporting data to the Spaces dashboard, the use cases can be implemented and tailored to specific requirements. So for instance, integrations with partner apps like Stanley for Healthcare or Maze Maps for that wayfinding that we talked about earlier. I think we got one more slide here, then I'm going to get into some use cases and then a demo at the end. We'll pause for questions again. Anybody have any more? So currently, the Zigbee wireless radio is in the Catalyst platform. With our new line of access points, they can boot in dual personas. So it's going to be the same hardware, but you can choose to boot it in Meraki mode or in Catalyst mode. Currently, I don't believe that there is a way to turn on that Zigbee radio in Meraki, but given that it's a common hardware platform, I'm sure that's roadmapped. And that's something that if you stop by our booth, take down your name and email, and I can follow up with you on that via email. Yep. Finally, as all users and devices connect to the network, reporting of data commences, and we're really at the finish line here. So Spaces diligently ingests the data into the dashboard and provides those real-time insights into the utilization and functionality of our space. Witnessing the flow of location data into Spaces will undoubtedly provide invaluable insights and enabling informed decisions on how your space is being utilized and optimized. So now that we have our use cases defined, You can begin to support your workspace on a 24/7 basis, utilizing that built-in AI ML inside of Cisco Spaces. This allows for quicker verification of desired outcomes, less time spreadsheeting, and more time providing additional value to your business. All right, quick summary slide here. So as we conclude this part of the presentation, I want to remind everybody of the 4 pillars that underscore the focus area spaces, making your spaces smart, safe, sustainable, and delivering a seamless experience. These pillars serve as the guiding principles and goals of Spaces, ensuring that the platform caters to your unique requirements and aspirations. Cisco Spaces is built on Cisco hardware, whether that be Catalyst, Meraki, and then our WebEx devices. The Firehose API allows for third-party apps and integrations to fill any unique use cases not natively provided by Cisco. And then lastly, the rich AI ML plays a key role in lessening administrative burden and ensuring 24/7 active monitoring. Trivia time. Name 2 of the 4 Spaces pillars. Back corner, 1 row in this time. 4 pillars: safe, smart, sustainable, and seamless. Okay, I'm going to get into a couple use cases here, and hopefully we can kind of start tying this together. So Spaces is not limited to just carpeted space and smart buildings. I want to highlight the data collected from wireless and IoT networks can be applied to various industries and lines of business. So this real customer use case from the tri-state area involved needing to track temperature-sensitive devices and products and receive alerts if they're in a hazardous environment. So to achieve this, the customer refreshed their warehouse with the current generation Catalyst 9000 series access points, which served as Bluetooth at low-energy gateways and Zigbee beacons. They placed Bluetooth tags on forklifts, crates, pallets, and other items to monitor their location, right? So when we say location, like we're not down to the millimeter, down to the inch, right? We're talking, a couple of feet. So if one of these products or forklifts entered into an area where the temperature or environment was hazardous to this product, a WebEx alert would pop up on the appropriate team's dashboard, right? So the fact that this device went from safe area to bad area triggered a reaction inside of Cisco Spaces to fire off a message to the appropriate team saying, hey, man, your forklift, it's like in the swimming pool. So just a way to kind of monitor and keep your workspace safe. This is going to be a personal example from myself. So for the first time, I attended Cisco Live in 2023. And for those of you who haven't been to Cisco Live, it's a really good event. You get to learn about everything Cisco and then everything surrounding Cisco as well, too. So there's talk tracks that are really super technical, and then there are talk tracks that are really high level, something that I wish I had done as a customer previously. So last year, it was hosted at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. And being a guy from North Dakota, I hadn't been to Las Vegas before, and just the scale of the city was overwhelming. And not only that, when I walked into the convention center at Mandalay Bay, it felt like it was the size of like 15 Fargo domes. Like it just felt giant. And you have 4 days really of technical talk tracks, and I wanted to make the most of my time, so I loaded my schedule. It was jam-packed from start to finish. And as I'm walking in this building, I'm thinking, I'm never going to be able to find my way to these sessions. But I had the Cisco Live app on my phone that had my agenda on there. So when I needed to get to my first session, it was easy as clicking the room link inside the Cisco app, and it would cross-launch into this maze map interface that you see right here. And since we had the wireless network inside of Mandalay Bay, we had the IoT network inside of Mandalay Bay, it knew my location, it knew where this other room was, and that's a direct screenshot off of Maze Maps there. It's just like Google Maps, and as you're walking through the building, your little blue dot updates, and you can get to your location on time there. So really handy from me wanting to be prepared and making sure I get to all my classes on time. And this is exactly the use case that university is looking to accomplish too with the Maze Maps finding. So if you're a brand new student and you're walking onto some monster campus, right, how do I make sure I can get to all my classes on time?
After a couple beverages, this might come in handy.
I didn't have time for a couple beverages at Cisco Live. Colton's laughing. I didn't have time. And then lastly, we're working with a retail customer in the tri-state area as well too. They're more interested in a concept inside of Spaces called personas. So this customer has a loyalty rewards program so they know their user's name, they know their purchase history and things like that. It's all tied to this loyalty program's account. So when their VIP customers come in, their high spend customers come in, they want to greet them with a personalized message saying, hey, welcome back to the store. We appreciate your business. You're a very valuable customer very valuable customer to us. But this also enables them to distinguish between different types of customers. Maybe you have a guy that comes in, has got the app, doesn't really do much, and he just kind of kicks the tires. But you notice that he's always in like the computer section. The fact that he has your app, the fact that he is onboarded from the cellular network to your wireless network, you can send him a notification saying, hey man, AirPods are currently 20% off, right? So this allows for a personalized engagement for your customers coming into your store. From the business side of things, what they're also wanting to do is take a look at how people are navigating their stores. So for example, if somebody walks into like the candy section, well, where do they go next? Maybe they go to grab the sodas, then maybe they go check out. So we can conveniently and strategically place our products and design the layout of our store to kind of generate some more impulse buys. You got the candy section, maybe you put something in between that and the pop section, right? So we're walking through, we're seeing more products, and maybe getting an impulse buy or two out of that. Okay, so this is flashing back to another one, and this is the last trivia, I promise. What are the 3 Cisco products foundational to Spaces? Colton.
It's a little cold for golf, but
We've got our answers there. Okay, so this is really the end of the slide deck here. I'm going to pause for questions. I think we were supposed to have questions on that monitor, but it's turned off right now. And then I want to jump into a demo of a feature inside of Cisco Spaces called Workspaces. And if you're interested in this demo and kind of want to interact with it yourself, we do have it set up at our booth, so stop by and click around and kind of see how it operates there. But do we have any questions from the audience, either virtual or in person? All right, I think we're good. Okay, so I'm going to hope that this pops up correctly. So in case you guys are wondering, my 2-year-old daughter makes my wallpaper backgrounds for me. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Pretty good. She's talented. Okay. And let me just swap displays really quick here so I can click my link. Okay, so for those of you who have not been to a Cisco office, our Atlanta office, which we are seeing the data from here, is kind of our new flagship office, right? We've completely redone the office space and kind of converted into this smart building, smart space that we talked about today. When you walk up to the office, you're checked in. Oh, we're not seeing my screen here.
it's a sound you don't want to wake up to in the morning.
Oops, that goes away. It's really hard to navigate this. Let's keep going this way. Okay, so like I said, when you walk into one of our offices, first you check in, and then you're greeted by a WebEx board. And what we're seeing here is live data from our Atlanta office that I said that we remodeled into a smart space. So on the left-hand side, what we're seeing is occupancy, current occupancy, past occupancy, and then average occupancy for the current work week. In the middle is air quality of the building as a whole, and then the average temperature and humidity across all 3 floors. And then we have more detailed information on our 3 floors along the right-hand side here. But this whole screen here is interactive. So if I can navigate my mouse backwards and like click floor 21, for example, we get one of those maps that I was talking about. And you're able to zoom in and click and move around. But what's kind of handy about this is if you're a visitor, right, you can see like a room finder with the occupancy of the rooms and then more detailed temperature and humidity, air quality sensors about the floor. On the lower right-hand corner, and those of you in the back, it's kind of hard to see. If you want to find out like where the stairs are or where the bathroom is, right, you can click these buttons and interact with the 3D space to kind of get your bearings right. Being an office space with conference rooms and things like that, the conference rooms you kind of see in the top here in green and red are bookable from these devices, right? So if we know we're going to go up to the Badlands conference room, we can click hold, it'll turn blue, and then walk up there. And when we get there, the navigator outside of the wall, right, reserve the space for us. So to really get a sense of it, it does help to kind of click through and navigate on your own. So like I said, at our booth back there, feel free to stop by. Question corner. So we kind of rely on the wireless network and the Bluetooth beaconing to do that. You could present the question is when you have a visitor, how do you identify their location? So one example that we have seen, and in Cisco we use like our phones and things like that, would be to just on your tag, like your lanyard tag, you could have one of those Bluetooth beacons or one of those devices. And when I talk about these Bluetooth beacons, they're on the marketplace. They're not hundreds of dollars. They're dollars, tens of dollars a piece, right? So kind of a cost-effective way to make sure that you're getting the location data for these people.
You have so many minutes to go to your room and accept the room. If you don't get there in time, the room will be bookable by someone else.
Right.
That way it avoids people booking rooms and then not using them.
But yeah, so when we talked to that university too, they were interested in this, like particular for the library, right? We can, like, where's a quiet corner I can go study, or where are the bathrooms, where are the fire extinguishers, things like that. Where are the services inside of this building? So when I walk into this building, I don't have to ask somebody. I can just navigate to the space on my own there. So with that, I hope to see you guys at our booth. If you got any more questions, feel free to come up to me afterwards. But thank you for attending.